everybody, come back. Once again, we are here on Riverview, making the final push into the end of the month. And it looks like all of the sunflowers that we had planted have now been flipped over to corn. Oh no, Fabio, that's awful. Alright, thanks for letting us know. As it turns out, the weeds are making their way down across the field, or across the map. Much all of our fields are littered with weeds. We're going to be trying to de-weed as much as possible. Hey Bert, what's up? Glad you can make it. Hey Tanya, thanks for making it. Got Nitro Dad on the server tonight and Jacer, but they're both across the map over at the forestry area. I can understand why you'd be upset. Those kind of things happen, so we just have to do as best we can. And do know that once you do get a PC back, you are more than welcome on any multiplayer that we got going on. Hey, Inventor Lee Wheelbarger. It's quite the name you got there. Get done this area, we're going to move over to field 11, field 12, 13, and 14. Like I said, we've got a lot of fields to weed tonight. No, Fabio, I haven't heard anything. I've heard some rumors, but I don't think any of those rumors are founded on anything that's solid. Let's just check. Corn is ready to harvest in 17. We're going to have to do some field work over here in 13. For some reason, it looks like we only half cultivated that field and replanted it. Oh, what is it? What do you think it's going to be? Hey, Havoc7, welcome back. Weeding is still a slow process, even with this big, wide weeder. Oh, to a new streamer. I don't know. I guess just do what you enjoy. Don't try to chase views. They will come to you. Vermeer equipment. Nitrodad has had the worst time, I think, with his connection tonight. What makes you confident on the Vermeer equipment? Now, I did hear that they'll be announcing it here in a few weeks or a short time, and supposedly it's going to be free. I think that's what I'd heard. Consistency is also good. As you build up a viewer base, having a consistent schedule helps. Giants announced today that they're going to be getting into the e-sport arena. So you likely knew about the Farm Sim Championship from last year, where it was like a bale stacking event that they did all over the place at all of the conferences and conventions and whatever they did, trade shows. Well, they're going to enhance that, and they are going to basically have 10 events in Europe this year that will basically be competing for up to $250,000 worth of prizes. The championship will happen in at FarmCon in 2020. So for those that aren't in Europe, there's supposedly going to be an online capability, but the online capability won't be competing for the big prize money. It will be something much more than just the bale challenge of last year. It will be supposedly doing something that more involves, I guess, a more broad array of farming. Did you see, like, did Vermeer or somebody make a an early announcement or something? Hey, Fabio says, hey, what's up? Oh, okay. Alright, well, we got that done. Were there any details in the announcement, or just the announcement of veneer equipment? Veneer. No, we don't have a Challenger. Got a series of Fence and a John Deere. Oh, there you vanished again. Oh, well, thanks for the compliment. How you doing, Dylan? I didn't say hey already. At least we're working in the daylight today, and not trying to do some night farming like we were yesterday. Hit refresh. It's still working for me. Thought it was pretty funny that I was jumping in this tractor. I didn't have to do any animal work today. Thankfully Jacer had done that while I was getting on, but I had to do the weeding, so we get to be in the fence yet again. I don't do anything on Twitch. That whole platform confuses me. There is a link to Discord in the description. Actually put it there right before the stream. Didn't realize that I had taken it out a while ago. What's everybody up to tonight? This will make pretty good work of this field. Video's not working, but the chat is. It's very interesting. Hey, Ken Stroll's Erie? What is a minced... 2 minced tarts? What's that? Like... I don't know what that is. Oh, sugar beets. Sugar beets are the scourge. The only thing worse than sugar beet harvesting is potato harvesting. Let's make sure we stay on this course. Let's do a little in-cab de-weeding. Yeah, I fell victim to a nice payout for a pull-behind potato harvest. Took me 3 hours to do. And... oh, it definitely wasn't worth it. I avoid all potato harvest now as best I can. Motherboard on the PC. What did it do? Did it just stop turning on? $150K, holy cow. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, in 17. I remember trying to do a sugar beet harvest on Lawfolds. And it was one of those giant fields. And it was early on in the map's existence, and the darn map kept crashing. I think I tried to do that harvest, that contract, like 5 or 6 times before I finally gave up on it. Yeah, the fields on Michigan are fairly AI friendly in the fact that they're fairly flat and square, and I don't think they've got a lot right next to the edges. I want to see if I can figure out how to get into 14. $14 doesn't need. You need to make sure that okay, off. We'll work on that after we get this all weeded up. uh, yeah, that's a little bit of a typo there, isn't it? I'm the only one that can read that. Oh, it's okay. It's all right. It's okay. Google does a little bit of, or YouTube does a little bit of filtering, but decided that that was a bad word and didn't show it to everybody. I understood that that was a a mistake. You know what, Kurt? I don't really pause that often. I very rarely use pause. In fact, I pretty much forget that that's there. Play around the field, start doing the inside. I like this field because it's got some elevation changes. Most of the fields on the map here are fairly flat, so it actually has some elevation play to it. There's a couple others that have that too. This is the synchronizing stream. Oh. Uh-oh. That didn't last long. Alright, Fabio, thanks for dropping by and letting us know. It is a bummer that things worked out that way. Wondering where you were a couple of days ago. Yeah. You're always welcome to join any multiplayer we got going on. This will start making up and down passes on that side of the field once we get down here. So I did see that the mod testing thread was updated today. Marwell Manor has made it to mod testing. Apparently it's been there once before, just didn't make the testing thread. It's in testing again. Like there were a couple other maps that were actually in testing. Grizzly Mountain, which we've already done a video on. Looks like it's in testing for consoles. And there was something about, I forget what the other one was. There were what appeared to be 3 maps in testing. Kind of exciting. What will the first mod map be? whatever it is sure to probably get a ton of playthrough. Just as a mere fact of being not giants. This is a pretty sizable field. Pretty big elevation change. Lighting increase. Sure. Are you on PC or console? That'll help explain a little bit. That's fine. Once I get done the weeding, I'll finish planting that field. And I've got a bunch of fertilizing contracts I took out. Assume Jacer's over there working on the loading up logs. Oh, PC starting tomorrow. Sweet. Alright, well, the way mods work in the Giants Mod Hub is this. So, of course, mod authors create implements, tools, scripts, and vehicles for the game. They will submit them to Giants, to the Mod Hub. Giants has a rather small group of mod testers. QA, they call themselves. Quality Assurance. I think that's what QA stands for. That basically test mods, validate that they conform to the modding standards that Giants has set forth, that they are functional, do what they say they do, they are free of errors and other issues, and basically just don't contain any type of code that could mess up your game or your PC or console. If those mods are found unworthy, then they are rejected, and the mod author is notified that their particular mod was not accepted. They will, of course, have a chance to resubmit it after corrections. If the mod is found worthy, then it will find its way into the Mod Hub over at GiantsFarmingSimulator.com or the in-game Mod Hub when you go to the mods menu at the main menu. There are a few sections in the Mod Hub, or not sections, but mods get flagged, like top mod, new mod, things like that. It basically deals with ratings and number of downloads. For console, that is the only way console player can get a mod. It has to be in the Giants mod console or Mod Hub. So they are pretty much limited to only the things that Giants releases. Not everything in the Mod Hub is for console. It is a subset of what is in there. In 17, it was probably, I don't know, like a 60-40 split. Probably 60% of the mods in the Mod Hub were PC only. So far in 19, it's a bit larger. It's more like probably 80-20, with 80% of the mods being available for consoles. But I suspect as they get further through the testing process, more and more mods will be released just for PC. because there are just so many restrictions on what is allowed on consoles and everything. So Giants puts up or updates a thread in their forums. It's under the English forums under general discussion or something like that. There's a daily mods and testing thread that they update, not daily. So far this week they've updated it twice in 3 days. Last week they updated it once. Week prior they updated it 3 times. So we might be lucky this week. We might get 3 updates this week. And basically they list the mods that are currently in testing as of that exact moment. And then they'll list at the bottom the number of mods pending testing. As of yesterday, there were 194 mods, I think, that were submitted to the Mod Hub that were pending testing. We have no idea what those mods consist of, how many of them may have been maps, how many of them may have been PC versus console. Do know that as of yesterday, or as of today, there were probably 6 or 7 mods listed as being in testing, and it appeared that 3 of them were maps, just based on name, or the fact that we know that, for example, Marwell Manor is a map, just from being aware of that. Now, for PC players, there is an abundance of mod choices or places that you can go and get mods. That is both a good thing and a potential bad thing, because there is, for the most part, little quality control for mods that are not part of the Giants Mod Hub. Some sites will test mods that are submitted, and some sites will not. Hey, Farmall, that's fine. Believe it or not, the server will be here tomorrow. It's all good. The mods that make it to the Mod Hub, there is a, as I understand it, there is a level of monetization to the modder. It is pretty low, given the amount of work that typically goes into a mod. And it is based on, as I understand it, a combination of the rating that the mod has and the number of downloads. I think a higher rated mod gets paid more per download than a lower rating mod. But typically, it is against the Giants' terms of service for the game to sell a mod. So if you run across somebody out there that's basically saying, hey, if you give me $5, I'll give you this mod, that's technically against Giants' terms of service, because the mod would have been created with the Giants console, Giants editor, and as such, the use of the Giants editor states that you cannot profit from anything you create using the Giants editor. So I had done a couple months ago, I did a video over in my mod reviews playlist. It basically talked about where I get my mods from, why I get them from, where I get them from. So it might be good for you to go check that out. PCs, yeah, there is an abundance of mods that are available through all kinds of avenues. Well, he'll be on later. He'll be able to get the surprise later, Jacer. He just might not be on to witness it. Oh, 14 there. Tell you, when Giants has weeds take over, they take over. Hey Taylor, what's up? Ace was over there where all those trees are vanished from. I see him loading a log on a trailer now. It's very hard to see. Oh yes, the ever classic argument: realism versus arcade. Where does the balance come into? Is a rather, I say, niche group, but to them they're not niche. They're of course the dominant group. But there is a rather niche group of simulation purists that would like to see Farm Sim be as real to life as possible in a computerized simulation. And then there are the other extremists, the left and right wingists. There are the other extremists that just basically want the most extreme, the most out there things. You know, they want to weed at like 50 miles an hour. They have a harvester that might have a normal head, but somehow manages to harvest 100 meters wide magically. Then there's, the masses in the middle that might be interested in a trailer that holds 3 times too much just because they can get the job done quicker. And the fact that it wouldn't realistically hold that much in real life really doesn't bother them that much. They just want to play the game for the act of playing the game. Hey, Will. Well, if you want to take a break from loading logs, it's fine. There's plenty of other stuff to do. Got a field down here that needs to be finished planted, seeded. The corn down here is ready to be harvested. Yeah. Right now there's just one PTO. In 17 there was a manual attach mod where you would have to go around the back. You would hit a button to hitch the piece of equipment. Then you'd hit another button to attach the PTO, and then you would hit another button to attach hoses. If the vehicle and implements were said modded to do dynamic hoses, that was called. In 19, we kind of have hoses. Here we got hoses that hook up. 17, we didn't have hoses, but 19, we have hoses that hook up to most tractors. But the manual attach capability isn't there. Closed. I did see it in the shop. I did see it over here at the farmyard. I'll show it off. I'll show it off when we get back to the farmyard. There was that capability in 17 with a mod. It was there was a mod called Gearbox that basically governed the transmissions, but also had the concept of a manual throttle and the concept of the PTO being too slow. So if the engine wasn't revved high enough with the throttle, then the PTO wasn't running fast enough, and therefore couldn't operate the machinery. That sadly has not been ported over to 19. There are some folks that are working on a gearbox-like mod, still working. There is a mod, it used to be called Keyboard Steer, now it's called, I don't know what it's called now. That currently has a fairly basic gearbox capability, but I don't know if it has throttle control or does anything with respect to PTO speeds. Well, Bert, that's where mods can come in, because with mods it really allows the player to play however they want. So you have a very valid point, and you know, I hold that there's probably some capabilities that Giants would like to implement. Like they talked about implementing gearbox functionality in 19 early on in its development, but when 19 finally came out, there wasn't a gearbox. Their answer to the question of what happened to gearbox was they couldn't get it to work the way they wanted. I'm thinking what that really means is they couldn't figure out how how to make the controller controls work with adding, you know, shift up, shift down, throttle, and all of that. While there's a whole lot of buttons on a controller, there still is a limited combination of controller options. And base Farm Sim already has a whole lot of key combinations before you even start adding additional capability. I kind of think they just ran out of buttons on the standard Xbox and PS4 keyboard. Or not keyboard, but controller. And, you know, they could always set things up to be turned off. You know, like you can go in, I probably can't now because I'm not in admin. But, you know, the capability of turning off weeds, capability of turning off fertilization or plowing. The idea that if seasons was going to be built in the game, you could probably have been able to turn it off. You can turn off lime if you want. But for the PC player, if you want a more oh look, that kind of looks like a flag. Right there, right by the map. Kind of looks like a flag. What do y'all think? There we go. Put a little field of stars here, and we got the American flag. Any hoot. The sand. Yep, you can turn traffic off. Oh, if you, for PC players that are looking for a fairly high level of realism in their simulation, there's Cattle and Crops. Cattle and Crops isn't a full game at the moment, and quite frankly is probably not going to be a full product for probably at least another year. Yeah, there are definitely folks out there that wished Farm Sim was more realistic than it is. But at the same time, it's very hard to say that Farm Sim doesn't have a higher level of realism in 19 than it did in 17. So some you could argue that it's baby steps, it's getting there, little steps at a time. Others will argue that it's never going to get there. They're always going to cater to the arcade player. And, you know, it's whatever. But what's so dynamic about the game is that you could play it as arcadey as you wanted or as realistic as you are capable of with respect to the availability of mods and maybe the limitations of the game engine itself. It was basically how the field was planted. So Will can tell us because he's the guru. But the main Giants maps by default have a fixed number of terrain angles. That is the direction that things are in. So like you can see here, we've got seed lines running north and south and east and west based on the direction that the planter was going. And here in the corner, we've got some lines going diagonally. I guess there's what, maybe eight angles: north, south, east, west, and then northeast, southeast. So I guess that's 6. I don't know, 6 or 8. But then there's something called 8 possible. There you go, 8 possible angles. So you get interesting patterns when you have a planter or a plow down and you're going around in circles and stuff. But there is a way to add additional angles to a field, to a field's terrain. It's called multi-terrain angle. And if you put enough angles in, then you could plow in a circle and you basically get a near round plow groove, as you have many more angles to deal with. So for some reason, a little bit of the field never got planted. This little square here never got planted. I'm going to mount it sideways. Oh, sorry. I had to sneeze. So for some reason, this square here is planted at this angle. This part is planted this way. Then the rest of the field around it is planted this way, which gives it this pattern. I tell you, Inventor, there's a Discord group that you would fall right in line with. I don't know if you use Discord, but if you join my Discord, I'll send you an invite over to another one. And they are very simulation-like minded. I think you all would get along smashingly well. They went on a little bit of a tirade today with the esports announcement. Of course, I didn't help much by bringing it to their attention. Of course, yeah, with maps that had multi-terrain angle, when you used GPS, GPS would grab one of those angles, and people would complain like, hired helpers don't drive straight on this map. Well, it's because you've got multi-terrain angles. So you can see like I'm obviously crooked here. Okay? But if I hire a helper, he's going to turn to go precisely 90, precisely east-west. Because of the terrain angles. Helper AI uses that terrain angle to, we're obviously crooked. The hired helper will straighten himself out. Now on a field with multi-terrain angle, if you're slightly crooked and you hire a worker, he'll probably drive slightly crooked in a straight line because he grabs one of the other angles that's basically available. Oh, if you're over at PCSG, Jacer, you should let Cavalier Roy know. As you know, he's working on version 2 of this. He might not be aware of that little spot. He'd probably want to take care of it. Boom! It blows my mind. What? There's more than north, south, east, west? What? I'm just glad we got the compass. So we can set the compass to like 270. Set cruise control, and we know we're going straight. I'd say we could point out the floaty trees, but there's like way too many. There's way too many floaty trees to point them out. Well, that was, well, that was really the main distinction between GPS and courseplay. Because courseplay, you would program the AI to drive a specific pattern. GPS, you could basically set the tractor to go a specific pattern, but you had to be in the vehicle for it to work. Whereas with courseplay, you basically had the hired helper drive the pattern that you had set out. Now, late in 17's, I wouldn't say 17's existence, because it still exists. People still play it. Late in the prime of 17, before 19 was released, there was a mod called Realistic GPS that, hold on, let me get head tracking. Oh, alright, we don't have any screens in here. Alright, let's pretend that there was a screen over here in the corner. Okay? There was a mod called Realistic GPS, which was kind of an add-on to the GPS mod, that you would basically use your mouse and keyboard and whatever controls to program GPS on the little screen in your tractor. And it would put up like a little mini map overlay of the map on your tractor screen, and you would basically set up your GPS that way. That required kind of, the way I understood it, you had to prepare the tractor for the for the Realistic GPS mod. It came out like maybe a month or two before 19 was really released. So I don't think it really got a lot of traction. But for players who are playing as realistic as possible and are still playing 17, then that's something that might be interesting to them if they have the skills and capabilities of modding the vehicles that they want to use that in. Oh, I got plenty. I got over a quarter tank left. This little girl's got 103 hours on it. We're good. We're good. In fact, this is the last little bit of weeding I need to do. Then I guess I'm going to have to use the John Deere. Plant the field. The compass is default in game. Now it's just there, down in the mini map, right by the coordinates. It was a mod in 17, but it's standard in 19. Oh. Well, I think that would be an interesting video series that you could do. You were asking about streaming earlier, right? Would it be videos how to play Farm Sim 19 more realistically? How to use markers and various other things. I don't know if you're a guy that likes to drive first person all the time. There's a group of content creators that likes to basically do everything first person if possible. And you know what to look for, and you know what type of visual cues to work with, then you can do a lot of stuff, you know, in first person. It's just so many folks don't know what to look for, or they're just flat out not interested. No. I mean, if mirrors were any use, you could help use mirrors. When I was younger and helping out on the family farm, we would look backwards more than we'd ever look forwards, typically doing field work. You know, so with that, we would end up, you know, looking back, making sure that we weren't, like here, we weren't overlapping too much, weren't skipping. But with 17 or with 19, it's either you use head tracking and you're constantly looking sideways, and that's not a fun way of playing if you ask me. Or when you do certain things like this, you just concede and do a third person view. This won't take long. Well, pretty soon we'll see that pretty case harvester. Yeah, for this, I'm just lining up that left light. Be a little off the cultivation texture. Then I'm not overlapping too much. Yeah. Now there were some tractors in 17. There were some vehicles in 17 that had the ability to change the angle on the mirrors, which was useful. That'll make turning easier. Field 17. Yeah, it's down. Go all the way down like you're going toward the river. And then double back to the left. I've been playing Farm Sim since November-ish 2016. There's folks like Will. Will's been playing since like 09, maybe 11. There you go. Farm Sim 11. Oh, the BGA was a DLC. That's how they introduced it. How did that work? Was it a building you put down? Or was it like... Did it come with a map that had a BGA in it? There was a literal hole, or was it just blank? Yeah, Lee, I saw you pop in. I'll see about inviting you over to the other Discord once the stream's over. In about 45 minutes. All right. Take this up here and get our truck. And head on down there, get that staged. We'll get our second harvester down here. There goes the case. uh, is it because this one's only got a quarter tank also? Oh, that's funny. Let's see how much fuel is in the truck. Oh, look, the truck's almost full. That's not exciting. Truck's hung up on the silo. That is exciting. Oh. Darn tractors. Oh, what's the question about trains? Planes, trains, and automobiles. It. That's right. We don't want to be wasting money fueling up tractors and trucks that we're just gonna not use the fuel on. Right? Nearly took out some crop. Oh, that is a big pipe. I don't. The The only time I use them is when I have to sell a crop at a train sell point. I like that they are motionary, that they move in 19. 17, they were all too stationary. They basically didn't go anywhere until you got in them to use them. Hey, Marky B and Alex. Can I recommend a website other than... Sure. I recommended lots of websites in a video I did back last year. I guess it was probably sometime in December. Might even been November. It's in my mod review playlist. It's going to be back there pretty good ways. It's basically titled something like why I get mods from where I get them from or whatever. But basically I talk about sites I look at when I look for mods and why, and I basically give you links. Get this field hashed out pretty quick. It's two of us. Well, that sounds like an interesting spin on things. Now that we got two harvesters, we can we don't have to borrow one when we do a big field. Yeah, yeah, only mods can post links. Thanks for going back and looking. I'll dig it up here in a minute. Give me a second. Uh, There, try that. Oh, look at that big swath cut through the field. Sounds like a cool series. Sure. Well, this harvester's got 73 hours on it. Got lots of hours on lots of stuff. So we get. If can't go up and down. We can't make 2 ups and 2 downs because we'll be full. Go up and down and empty. Yes. Well, they're not from me personally. They're from. Well, they're obviously from the server. So they're from the team. Oh, he's doing that. Okay. I'll just go over here. It's real hours. So it's real time. That's 73 real hours, real life time. So even if you run the game at, let's say, 10x, 10 times speed, yeah, an hour on the clock is an hour of the engine running in real minutes, not in game minutes. That other tractor that had over 100 hours, that's 100 real hours. It's 48, 96. It's over 5 real days of constant running over the last 23. Let's look here. Sort by hours. Got 113 hours on our 724. See the number of hours we got on thing. Least hours should be the case. Yeah, we have been. But if you look at these prices, you'll see why. Look how awful these prices are compared to regular prices. Here you go. That's because the economics on the map have been greatly reduced. It's really played well into the concept of the challenge. That You know, as a team, as a multiplayer team, you really got to work for it. Yeah, now milk and eggs are still at normal price, I think. Speaking of that, we could sell a load of milk later. Yeah, it's like if you look at like wool, 182 bucks. Ooh, whoop-de-doo. It's barely worth it. Here's straw, $5 per 1,000 liters. A round bale of straw would get you at 4 or 20 bucks. I use it every so often. I don't use it a lot when I stream, just because I have a 3-monitor setup. I have the game on the center. I have the chat and the stream preview on the left screen. And then I have the OBS recording on the right screen. So, you know, when I look over a chat, it causes head tracking to look, you know, sideways. And typically, head tracking is kind of it's set up to exaggerate your head movements. So if you move your head just a little bit, it's equivalent of moving your head a lot in camera. So if you turn your head like 45 degrees, that might be the equivalent of like 180 degrees in game. So every time I look at chat, I don't want it basically looking backwards or, you know, completely to my left. So I've turned down the sensitivity on the head tracking so that when I turn my head, it's more of a one-to-one movement, which means it's not super useful for looking behind, because I would literally have to almost turn my head backwards, and the head tracking receiver wouldn't work that way. What wearing a HUD? What's a HUD? I don't know what you're talking about. A HUD. Yeah, I get what that is, but I don't understand what it is with respect to gaming. How would that work? That I don't know what a. I don't think I've ever seen that. Oh, VR, like a HTC. What are the HTCs? I don't think the game supports VR, but I think I may have heard some people trying it. Of course, I think the biggest issue with a VR headset is that it completely blocks out your visual senses. And unless you have, really good tactile reference with respect to button box, if you have button boxes, or good awareness of um, keyboard presence, where the keys are on the keyboard, then you'd be, kind of stuck because you couldn't really see what you were pressing. Oh, it has been, huh? I'll have to look at that and see. Have you downloaded it yet, or did you just see that it was a posting? I hope they did more than just add cows. That map has lots of potential, but that's about what it had going for it, in my opinion. Is a whole lot of potential. But see, then I wouldn't be able to see. I wouldn't be able to see chat. I wouldn't be able to interact. Back in my iRacing days, I thought about it. It's a bit expensive though it's a bit expensive for a guy with a couple kids, daycare payments and all that. No, I don't think so. Depends on what monitor you got. I mean, if you go with like $1,000, 144 hertz, 4K display, but it's going by fast. It's HTC Vive. That's what it is, and it's the Oculus Rift. Those are the things I'm thinking about. Yeah, no problem. I'll send you, I'll look about getting you that invite here in about 20 minutes. Question is, will we make it back the other end of the field? I think we will. Oh, we even got the tracks. Look at that, we splurged. Maybe that one comes with tracks. Ooh. Yeah, know a guy that does the exact same thing. He ends up having decent internet in the winter and pretty awful internet
Hey, hey, hey.
in the summer. What's up there?
Not much. Thought I'd stop and say hi. How's it going?
Oh, we're trying to earn a living. Sad, economically depressed environment.
Yep. I've been I've been flipping fields for the last 3 hours. We upgraded. We got that Roystel mash, the big one. So
61.
you guys are probably bigger than us. Yeah, the one that's got the header with the built-in trailer.
Yeah, we got that one.
So oh, we got 2 new Discord members.
We got that one. It
It's a
had the
good
built-in
size.
trailer. It wasn't super super expensive and super big. A little worried about trying to get that giant 45-foot header around some of these turns.
That and
So,
it's kind of the last corn header that'll fit through some of the field entrances too. It seems like when you get some of the bigger ones, I don't know, I haven't tried any of the big ones. Maybe wrong.
yeah, well, we've done plenty of contracts where they gave us the big New Holland or the big Ideal.
And you
Kind
got it to work.
of got to get around.
Yeah, we've used it too, and it worked. So I didn't think about that. So thinking about the next adventure.
Oh, not really.
Just
Figuring the next, so the server's just not sitting around idle because they're so burned out on, you know, doing this.
oh yeah, yeah. No, that's what I'm not talking a challenge or anything. So I like what you were saying, like rolling hills with, 4 or 5 farms. I think that'll work. Lets people kind of chill farm. No real competition.
I planted our fertilizer spreader like on top of a tree. Either that or a tree all suddenly grew there. Not sure which.
Oh, there you are on your stream.
Yeah, you see the little Rattle Smash header next to the giant. They just
Big,
picked up a case.
gotcha.
They wanted a apparently it took 4 real hours to harvest all our fields the other day. The other harvester. This one.
Is that a solar panel on top of the shed? I never even noticed that.
Top of the pigs, yeah. So
Never even
apparently it took us
noticed
4 hours to harvest with the big Rattle Smash. So they decided that it was a better investment to go with a big case harvester too.
that. Yeah, it takes work, man. Definitely takes work.
But this now means that before when we were doing contracts on big harvests, we would we'd use our harvester and then borrow a harvester. Now we don't have to borrow any equipment. We just use our own stuff.
Yeah, we've kind of got to that point too. It's nice to do contracts without borrowing. What did somebody say? Is my server the same as always set to night cycle? It's just the way it works, man. We just have them set and they do what they do.
All right, 22, 26, 37, 39.
I see your prices are just as beautiful as ours.
I know, aren't they depressing?
Man, I tell you what, only time I get excited is when I sell eggs.
I mean, I get excited when wool's at 200. It's like, oh boy,
I know. I,
milk's pretty.
milk sell.
Milk's not so
Yeah,
hot today.
we just got cows though. We haven't had them very long, so it's one of the last things. Well, it's the last animal we got.
22, 26, 37, 39. 6.
But our buddy Darren, he's been giving me pointers on map editing. I've been learning how to do that a little bit. That's been fun. You know how you could do the next multiplayer map, right?
How that?
Just start each farm with no money.
Just zero? No money, no equipment?
No money, no equipment. Figure it out.
Yeah, that'll be a grind, right?
Yeah. Be fun. I've thought about doing if I ever get my multiplayer server back, I thought about setting up a farm. So depending on how many people are join, it'll be like a share kind of deal. So every time you sell something, like the farm gets a share, and then all the players get a share, and then once people have enough money, they can go start their own farm. So everybody kind of starts out on the same farm at first, and then from there they can kind of quit their job and go start their own business. Jacer said, "Please give us $1,000 so I can buy a chainsaw."
Got a chainsaw. Got a chainsaw. What are you talking about? You lose 1 load of grain in the water. Let's tell you to stay away from the. It's not very fair.
I've had a lot of fun, despite the grind. We've had some good time.
Well, how do I get into 22? I'm just running into everything. Yeah, I had a ton of fun trying to figure out how to get into fields.
Yeah, yeah, I think you have to go. Yeah, I'm watching your stream. I think you wrap. It's at the end of that. Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, thankfully due to stream delay, I'm nearly done the field.
Oh, I feel silly. Stop talking, Raz. Jeez.
That's right
Nobody,
there.
nobody wants,
Oh, I'm
nobody
done.
wants
I've
to
done
hear your,
left. I've done moved on.
nobody wants to hear your mumbling.
It's just like when someone comments on a video 3 weeks ago. Like, what? Yeah, it's usually advice. Oh, you should do this. Oh, okay.
It's already done.
Yeah. If you didn't realize it, I kind of already did it before I recorded it.
Yeah. Did I tell you I reached 50 subscribers? Woohoo!
I think I saw that. The road to 100.
It's not much, but it's a milestone for this guy who didn't even know how to use a OBS 2 months ago.
Right. Keep this pace up, you'll be 500 by the end of the year.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm not counting. I'm just having fun, man.
Not counting, but he's told me he's at 50.
I just thought it, because you have what, thousands? Let's see. Oh yeah, 6.3 thousand.
At 50 once.
I know. No, I'm happy for you, man. It seems like your channel's like grown exponentially. That's how it
26.
usually works, right? Like you were telling me, subs breed subs, and
Yeah, you get to you get the thresholds. Yeah, you kind of see your dashboard, the stats where it's like the members plus minus over the last 4 weeks. And it probably is pretty stable. And then, it doesn't change much from day to day or week. And then it starts to slowly go up. But it stays stable, but it's slowly climbing. Then might make a bit of jump and then just keeps doing that.
yeah.
For the longest time I had about 100 new subs a month. Then all of a sudden it was like 150 a month. Then 200 a month. It stayed at 200 a month until 19 came. It was probably 200 a month for a good 6-8 months. Then 19 came out and it just blew.
I mean, you've been pumping out the content though, man. You're a machine.
Bill is the machine.
Will does some pretty amazing stuff.
Figures out how to map in 19.
I've been playing around with, GE last, week. My respect for map makers has just gone if through the roof.
You did a pretty good job, Jacer, for not being able to spell
I
it.
mean, kudos to whoever makes maps, even ones that are bad. Kudos to those people because, I mean, it takes a lot of work. I don't think people realize that have never done it how much effort it involves.
There is a lot of creative energy. Sure. Lots of
And
technical knowledge of
tedium.
format, yeah.
I mean, just every tree you have to place. I mean, it's. I think people who haven't gotten into GE and played around should just do it. And I think a lot of times people quit saying bad things about map.
Yeah. Well, I think there's technically a way multi-select a bunch of trees, duplicate them.
Yeah, you can do like transform groups and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was always like, I don't know, here's a flat map. I don't want it to be flat, but I don't know what I want it to be. Hill here, hill there, I don't know.
I think I'm gonna learn.
Comes out to decorating stuff and putting bushes in and stuff. It's like, I don't know where to put it.
Yeah, well, you're right. I've been trying to put a bell cell point in all day, and I took me everything I had to get the XML stuff right. That's with Darren helping me. I still didn't get it right.
Yeah, he's learning a lot. He learned a lot in 17, but yeah, I think a lot of mappers are probably annoyed that a lot of the stuff that they learned in, well, from who knows how far back, suspect stuff that mappers did in 15 probably translated really well into 17. But when they changed and made this placeable stuff, really changed a lot of stuff. So a lot of the stuff that you knew in 17 doesn't necessarily translate so well in 19. I get a contract message and not see it.
Yeah, could you
So
imagine if they ever changed the engine? But I think I'm gonna learn how to do because I like them so much. Homestead maps. So there'll be all the infrastructure will be there, roads and sell points and all that stuff. But there won't be any fields, no defined fields, just purchasable land areas.
yeah, that sounds cool.
I think that's what I'm gonna. I want to learn how to make those, and that's where I'll start.
And
Just
I think DB's well. I told him, I was like, I don't really think this landscaping tool is really meant to be a make your own map tool.
yeah,
Gave it a good try, and I think it's good for little things, but I think it scales well.
yeah, doesn't it chews up um, a lot of your memory, doesn't it?
Well, your save games get huge because it writes all that landscaping data to your save game, and as a result, he was he was saying he had like really long load times, really long save time. Save, you just sit there and wait for it. Spins and spins. Hey, Alien Jim, what's up? Got an alien in the house.
Speaking of map makers,
See
there's
that?
another one.
You know, he had a picture on his Facebook of this alien basically hovering over this little known map called Mercury Farms, and it was like, you know, destroying all these buildings. And I said, you know, what'd be cool is if we had an alien farmhouse, UFO farmhouse, coolest. And would you know it? There's apparently some haters in the bunch. Don't think that that would be cool. I would like it. I think
Sure, I like about anything.
could plop it down and pretend that you've landed on a alien planet.
That's right.
Change all the tree textures to purple trees. You could have orange grass and
Funny looking crops.
yeah, you could have yellow leafed sugar beets or whatever. You have corn, but when you harvest corn, it makes potatoes. Just be backwards world. Zorro land. Oh, Will.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it one bit.
He ran out of time.
I'm
Where are
waiting
we?
for him to do like an under the sea one, like it's
37.
inside of a dome or something.
I thought we were going to 37. Oh, look. It's right here. You just need to export it.
There you go, Will. You can redo Banco Island,
Oh, my God.
but this time you can take like a ramp down through the island to an underground farming area.
Ah, Middle Earth. Hobbit land map.
Hobbits.
The mod that makes all the farmers have furry feet. Well, I sent a tractor into orbit, right? I sent a tractor into orbit. That
Yeah,
thing
that
just
was fun.
that thing just launched.
That was a fun feature. Sometimes when you just want to goof off, you're like, oh, let's see how high we can go.
Yeah, nobody's trashing anybody. I did. Best is I didn't realize what happened until after I did it. That would be some pretty extreme. That'd be some pretty extreme landscape or geography in such a small area of 16 kilometers squared. Can you imagine the geography to take all of those maps, put them on a 16x? It's supposed to represent 16 kilometers squared. To have the flats of Emerald Coast, the islands of Amazon, rocky, snowy mountains of Rocky Mountain, rolling hills of Midtown. No idea what East Coast looks like. And the rolling hills, well, not so rolling. Steep inclines of Churn, all in 16 kilometers of each other.
Yeah, you can. If you can't find something to do on that map, you're in trouble. 16x. I have a hard enough time playing like a 2x map on single. I like tiny maps. I'm weird.
Yeah. I think the best thing about a mashup like that is it would actually have small fields.
Mm-hmm.
16x maps I've seen have just been stupid big fields. Like 500 hectares. You're going to need 8 harvesters on that, and it's still probably going to take you 2 hours.
100 fields. Wow.
And a covered bridge. Best feature East Coast is a covered bridge.
Yeah, I remember that bridge. That was a cool bridge. That map was awesome. I hope you get a chance to finish that, Will, in 19. Now, wasn't he talking about expanding East Coast, not East Coast, but Emerald Coast to 16x?
4x.
4x, that's what it was, yeah.
So that the East Coast, the Emerald Coast that we know would basically be like, the bottom left corner. I think it's an interesting map. I'm a little surprised at how popular it is myself. I really didn't have much desire to play it myself because it's just fields are a little bit too big for my taste. Yeah, Marky, I'm interested in seeing that once it's done. Everything I've seen on it so far looks very interesting. Yeah, I think Bullet Bill's been a little uh, wordy about his frustrations with 19, but personally, I think a lot of it is the fact that it's different than 17, so it's not wanting to have to go and relearn everything all over.
Yeah, I'm grateful that I'm grateful that I didn't learn how to do it. Well, I mean, some of the stuff is same as 17. That's what Darren was telling me. A lot of the commands and all that stuff. But learning, I'm I'm happy I'm learning now at the beginning of a new game instead of the end of 17. Kind of when I started halfway through. My creative mind's always thinking of, oh, I wish I could make this, and I wish I could make this.
Yeah, like the Appalachian map,
Yeah, Appalachian
Appalachian
Hills.
Trail, and Hatfield and McCoy's, all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff.
like I said, right now I'm editing the Boulder Canyon map, and that's just going to be for my single player. But I grew up in a area along this river in Michigan, and it's really cool terrain feature because it's like on one side of the river, like on the south bank of the river, it's elevated, so you're like a couple 100 feet above the river. But then on the north side of the river, it's flat with the river, and I just remember that area being really beautiful, really cool looking. So I might do something like that. I don't know. I got to figure out how to use GE first.
Yeah, and the best thing to do is to grab either a map it's already out there or the in-game map and just start breaking it.
That's what I've been doing, just kind of tearing maps apart.
There's the road I want.
Oh, Shenandoah Valley. That'd be pretty. I thought about doing like a Cades Cove. If anybody's ever been there in the Great Smoky Mountains, it's beautiful. Be a neat little small map. Stuck on the hedges.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to get into this field 39. There's a back way in here. Yo.
I've been watching like a dirty, is it dirty tractor doctors videos on how to import or how to use Google Earth to
Oh,
create
yeah.
terrain.
Yeah.
I haven't got that far into it. But
17 videos were a little confused. Is it inevitably the way he showed you doing it? Like, you install the app, and like your app doesn't quite look exactly like his app. Then you're like, okay, see if I can read what he did to what I'm seeing. Inevitably, it didn't work because I did that. Got to the point of smoothing out the bumps because even when you do that, terrain is kind of bumpy. You got to go in and smooth it out a good bit. You still get the general lay of the land that way. Got to the point where I would be like, putting in buildings, and then I just went get a blank. Depth of field. Pretty sure that's
okay.
the whole blurring stuff.
Mm-hmm. So is Bullet Bill upset because he can't do like his border that like he used like an oak field and the other stuff where I guess it looks more real?
Yeah, I think there was a part of a statement that was like, getting rid of depth of field, and like Giants is like, why would you want to do that? So some of it is probably Giants being a bit standoffish, but then some of it is probably him being overly aggressive with his statements. It's the first thing you do when someone's overly aggressive towards you. You're like,
Get defensive.
yeah, why would you want a different sun? Why would you not want the moon there? Why do you need different ground textures? Ours are just fine. Yeah, and I think some of his statements were like, lots of well-established modders aren't modding for 19 because they're upset that, didn't release the scripting information, or you didn't do this, you didn't do that. So, Farm Sim will die because all of these well-established modders that have been modding for Farm Sim are just going to vanish and go somewhere else. But same point, for every modder that leaves, there's probably 2 that are picking it up and are interested in it. Maybe one of those 2 will continue their interest and maybe be just as good as the folks that left. It's kind of this ever-evolving thing. People will eventually lose interest and move on. Somebody else will come. A new generation will happen. It's happened before, will happen again. It's all Battlestar Galactica. Cylons.
Oh, only your stream would there be a Battlestar Galactica reference. I love it.
I love this show.
I watched the reboot for a while, but after a while, I kind of lost interest.
But, it's...
So I wonder if
When you look at those expendable modding folks, I mean, holy cow, the stuff they're putting. We didn't have high stuff like that in 17. Just learning how to do stuff and stuff.
yeah, I was just reading what Will said. I wonder if a lot of this is stuff that's waiting to come out in the game. Like you were talking about the temperature thing. Remember the truck that that vehicle add-on that
Oh
registers the
yeah,
temp?
the engine temps.
I wonder if there's some stuff in the game that is kind of a hidden feature that hasn't been released yet.
Yeah. Or there's things that, so like if you look at the vehicle's XML and you look at the fuel, there's an entry for fuel slash diesel. Okay. And then there's an entry for DEF, which is the diesel additive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the blue cap, blue tank
Yep.
stuff. Well, there's no concept of DEF in game. Just pull up to the fuel tank, you fill it full of fuel. And when you do it, it basically refills both the DEF value and the diesel value. But DEF was not in 17. It's new to 19. Look at the XMLs. But it's an unused function or capability. Maybe it's because Giants never got around to implementing it. Maybe it's something that they stuck in with the plan to implement it later. Or maybe it's one of those things where like, well, let's implement this because we think it's kind of cool. Put it in the game and see how modders make use of it. You know.
Yeah, I think because my very basic limited knowledge, when I was reading through some of these XMLs and some of this other stuff, it seemed like there was. It may just be me not understanding, but like you said, that def, and then I can't even remember what I was looking at. It didn't. It didn't do anything. I can't. Even, never mind. But I almost wonder if there's stuff there that kind of hasn't been activated yet, or never fully got finished. I wonder if that's even more.
Yeah, I mean, folks have
I
looked
mean,
through, like folks that are into Gearbox 17, look through the XMLs and the vehicle configs, and basically they see remnants of what Giants was trying to do with respect to Gearbox. And to some degree, I think Mowgli, I think he's the one that did Gearbox mod. You know, like the whole Gearbox implementation in 19 is just so broken. I can never have Gearboxes. 4 days later, he releases a basic Gearbox because I think it's that frustration of I can't do it the way we used to do it, and I don't really want to learn it. But he wants it so bad that eventually he just does it.
yeah. I mean, because what do they usually do? Two expansions, or just usually one per game? I can't remember. Cause, yeah, because 17 had platinum, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Man, so there's no telling what the future is gonna hold.
Yeah, and maybe that Seasons is going to do something with engine temperature. Definitely could. Can make it so that you have to do something in order to make the engine start easier in the cold winter.
Yeah. I still would like to see, and I don't know if I'm just not paying attention right or I don't understand it right, but like the vehicle scuffs and scratches and all that kind of stuff, it disappears when you repair it, right?
Yeah, you repair it, it's like you get a fresh coat of paint.
Yeah, I would prefer it stay. Um, you know, I bet you somebody can make a script for that, but
Yeah, I'm sure that there will be a way to visually set the wear, but kind of like animal table managers did, set it so that vehicles don't wear, but they do visually.
Yeah,
You know?
because I think that would be better. I mean, you could repair the engine and the equipment and stuff, but scuffs and scratches, all that stuff, that kind of stays.
Yeah, I like a harvester head that's missing half its paint, but I don't like the fact it goes 4 miles an hour.
No, but yeah, I'm sure there's probably somebody already working on it.
Or 90 some mods still in testing. But the rate of submissions, I don't know if we'll ever get below 150 anytime soon.
Well, growing pains.
Lee, there used to be a damage mod, if I
I hope
understand it,
Giants
from
is doing well
15.
though. I mean,
Like you run into a
despite some
tree and you get
people's
hit with
being upset,
damage.
I think they're doing a good job.
Oh, it's nice getting $13,000 to fertilize a field.
Right? And you're not even go through fertilizer that fast.
Spreader bars.
Oh, do they slow it down?
The great experimenter, Sealy P, did a video where he
Ah,
had it, people had told him in his 29,000 subs. That's a channel that's grown like um that you go through fertilizer less with the spreader bars. So he tried it. He basically fertilized a field with one of these trailers stock, recorded how much fertilizer he went through. Then he put then he put the spreader things on there and did the same one, and he used less fertilizer. Basically, the way it seems to work is that Giants is using just a simple mechanism of time um, govern usage. Since the spreader bars have a larger working width, fertilize the field quicker than didn't. Therefore, you spend less time with the machine on. As a byproduct, you use less. They're not measuring like width covered, like working width. Apparently, the fact that I have additional 6 meters of coverage, you don't overlap too much. You can get the field done quicker. So that it's fertilizer.
oh, I'll have to remember that. So it seems like that spreader is probably the most economical way to fertilize.
Yeah. Other than using poo or slurry or digestate. hundreds of thousands liters of digestate, you could utilize a few cheaper. Sacrifice of trips.
I meant for purchasable. I guess
Yeah.
purchasable, because your sprayer is going to go through. Even though liquid's cheaper than solid, I think per liter, you're still gonna. I think I can't remember.
Yeah, I think usage is greater than spray.
Okay. Then you can always take into account time, because the sprayers have a bigger working width.
Now on fields like this, where you got trees right on the outside, it's like then you got the boom. Are you constantly running into stuff with the boom? Spray, you know, have anything to hit. Yeah, I've used less than 4,000 liters of fertilizer. Probably a good 6 fields.
Yeah, you've been like fertilizing for an hour, feels like, and you haven't gone through much. That's good to know. You haven't been able to watch your streams as much as I want to. It's hard to admire you when I'm battling you. Right now, I'm just sitting on my computer watching YouTube. So much for winning the fight.
Alright, Alien Jim. Catch you later. Alright, after this field, I am done. That went 30 minutes longer. That's right. Some reason. Now, liquid, you know, the bigger implements go through it faster. But since they have this customizable working width on this one, they didn't change the usage rate on the wider spread than the narrower spread. Yeah, you're taking advantage of a miscalculation. Because a spreader that has a narrower width goes through it slower, because the usage is basically per, I guess, implement. Yep. I don't think they thought fully, if we increase our spread rate, we're going to go through fertilizer faster. Like if you use that big Hardy sprayer, you'll see that liter counter drop faster than if you used a little Kuhn 3-point hitch. Now I think you'll end up using the about the same amount of fertilizer on the field. You're just logically using it slower because you're spraying less. Here, you have a wider working width. You spend less time spreading. Until they patch it, take advantage of it. Guys, I hope you liked the video. If you liked the stream, we'll be back tomorrow, Thursday night, 9:30 Eastern. Same map. Who knows what we'll be doing?
Good night, Klein.
Alright. Hey, your horses should be about ready to sell, right?
Tomorrow. Yep.
Mine are ready.
should be ready tomorrow.
400K unless you got more than 8 horses.
No comment.
Be your secret. 5 horse pens.
God, no.
I haven't heard
think
Darren
I'd-
complain
I think
about
I'd-
all he ever does is ride stupid horses.
I mean, could you imagine, what is it, 5 minutes per horse? So, that's, I mean, every 8 horses is 40 minutes of game time. And if you get the large paddocks, that's 80 minutes to ride all the horses. So, I mean, that's a lot of game time just riding horses. Anywho. Y'all take care.
Yeah,
Everyone
I mean,
at home, have a good
10 days, 50 minutes of riding to get them to 50 grand. It's a decent investment.
Oh yeah, I mean the money's well worth it. It's just it's like anything else you have to do over and over again. It's just a little tedious. That's why I wish they had like a little wagon you can hook up like a team of them to. You know, you can just take them all for a ride at once.
Chain them all together, rope them all up.
And pull a sled in the snow or something.
Well, they've got that walking rink thing on Ravenport. It's one over on Black Mountain, Montana. It'd be nice if you could put the horse in there and they basically
And just turn it on.
turn it on, and attach the horse to the walking thing, and they basically just walk themselves in circles.
Yeah.
That's not a mod idea by any for either. We wouldn't appreciate that at all.
No, none of our ideas are ever wanted, ever. No, the horseback is nice, like Bert just said. It's nice way to see the maps. Yeah, horse treadmills. Anyway, I'm going to bed. Have a good night, man.
All right, later. Bye. All right, guys. We'll check you later. Till next time. Happy farming.